So finishing up the build for my X-Ray T4. Had a good night of practice. Just kind of want to do a quick video, kind of sum up my practice. If it helps anybody else out there, that'll be great. I think this will be a really good way for me to keep growing in what I'm learning. I find way too often now that I have too many aha moments where I actually remember something that I forgot about racing. So I'm just going to keep doing these, hopefully every Wednesday, maybe every other Wednesday. So the first one tonight, I was working on my X-Ray XB2 two-wheel drive buggy. Actually had the carpet edition for 2018. It's a great car. If you're running any of the XB2s on any type of high grip carpet, Astro, even a super high bite clay track, definitely get it. Definitely get it. It's a huge improvement over the 17. Well, let's see. What I worked on today was shocks, and more about the angle of the shocks. And I had another epiphany while I was moving them in and out, up and down, and whatnot. That in on-road, when we would stand a shock up more, make it more upright, the car would corner a lot faster, but it would also get tippy. So basically, we run on high grip black carpet on both our on-road and off-road. So it's the CRC Gen 2 stuff. So in on-road, you'd go through a corner and you'd end up two-wheeling if the shocks were stood up a little too much. It also will do it if you have too heavy or too much dampening, so like too thick of oil in the shock. That'll do it as well, which I thought was really odd. I never would have expected that. I guess what's going on is the car is transferring weight so fast or at such a speed that the shocks can't keep up with it. So that's when it starts to, lean on its side. So I ended up going down in some oils. I had shocks stood up. It was a little tippy, so I actually, laid them back down. So if you're having traction rolling issues, just naturally laying your shocks down will help mitigate and get rid of that. I mean, it gets rid of the tippiness of the car, so essentially it will also help get rid of traction rolling. And the best way that I found to think of this is any adjustment that you make on the arm of the car is a major adjustment. An adjustment on the shock tower is a minor adjustment. So that's the big stuff that I learned or relearned about shock positioning today, and also about shock oils. Let's see. I think there's something else. I worked on so many different things today. It's kind of one of those where it's, so our running on carpet, we're actually running slicks on carpet. We have so much bite, and the black CRC carpet is so aggressive that it will eat up a set of carpet tires in one weekend. So 4 runs, 3 qualifiers and a main, they're toast. Literally almost bald. So what we do to help mitigate tire wear so people aren't buying tires every freaking weekend to be fast and competitive, we're running slicks. So a nice clay slick will last several weeks. I'm running octagons right now, and I have over a month on them. Tonight I thought they were starting to wear down and get slow. But then I pulled the sway bar off the back of my car, and holy shit, I picked up another 2/10. Yes, okay. So that was the huge thing that I changed tonight. I pulled the sway bar off, and I was expecting the car to get tippy and want a traction roll on me. I felt like it had less of a tendency to traction roll. Oops. So I feel like it had less of a tendency to want to traction roll. I did traction roll it 2 or 3 times. I'm not sure if I can fix that with maybe a little lighter oil, laying the shocks down a little bit. But the car handled a lot better. So my best run before taking the sway bar off, I had one 13.8 second lap, but I didn't have anything else close to it. Like I didn't have, a lot of 13.9s. I think I had a handful of 14 flats, but there was a lot of 14.1, 14.2s, mainly a lot of 14.2s. Uh, and as soon as I pulled the sway bar off, and it wasn't a huge sway bar, it was a 1.2 millimeter sway bar, and pop that off, and next thing I know, I walk out on the track, and I'm doing 13s left and right. So it started off with a couple 13.8s, a lot of 14 flats, uh, and even pulled down into a 13.7. So the car was a hell of a lot easier to drive. I gained rear traction, which I know that as soon as you add a sway bar to the car, to an end of the car, you inherently lose some rear grip or some grip to that end of the car. So if you put a sway bar on the front of the car, you're going to lose a little bit of traction on the front end. So usually a loss of traction on the front end is a loss of steering, and then the inverse for the rear. And I'm thinking about it now. I didn't really lose any like forward bite. I lost side bite. So the car with the sway bar on wanted to rotate more in the turns, which isn't necessarily bad, but it was too much and it was unpredictable for the car. Uh, Without the sway bar on there, the car literally just leaned and freaking carved the turn and was done. And that's where it dropped the 0.2 of a second, at least on my average lap. I would say without the sway bars, a 14.2 was my average lap, and with the sway bars, my average lap that I could consistently pull out was a 14 flat. And then my overall fastest lap was 13.7 was another tenth off of my previous fast lap with the sway bar on. But just the consistency that I gained with it and the feel, uh, it was monumental. Like I was super shocked when I went out there. The car was easy to drive. I'm like, it's probably not that fast. And then I start hearing lap times. I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like, I'm not even pushing it. I'm just taking it easy, and it's pulling 14 flats. So I, buckle in, take my turns a little tighter, and keep it going. And then it's busting out 13.8s, and I hear the 13.7. I about lost my shit and ran off the driver's stand. So those were my two big takeaways from tonight's practice. Uh, yeah, I don't think there was anything else really big. Playing around with a bunch of different things, and as I kind of get those things figured out, I'll make another video, and that way I'll have it. I can look back on. If it helps anybody else, like I said earlier, that's great. That's awesome. But yeah, till next time, see y'all later.